With all the negative press coming from Windows 11, is it really time to upgrade from Windows 10? Personally, I've held off upgrading from Windows 10 to 11 for a long time now, but today we are having a look at Windows 10 versus Windows 11 Pro performance across 5 games to see whether it's really worth it to upgrade for gaming. If you're in the market for a Windows key, give a minute to hear from our sponsor, Keysfan.com.
This guy still has unactivated Windows. I keep telling him to activate it, but he won't listen. You know what that means.
Bro, this guy locked the door again? I know how to fix this. Where's my wallet? Check out Keysfan.com for cheap Windows keys. If you use coupon code BEZ50, you can get 50% off Windows licenses. And if you use code BEZ62, you can get 62% off Microsoft Office, and they also have a Microsoft Office and Windows 11 bundle. You can pay via PayPal, and they have a pretty good customer support team. Check out Keysfan, linked in the description. And don't get locked in your room with Mr. Gorilla. A couple of things to note for our specs. For our Windows versions, we will be using Windows 10 22H2, so the latest update for Windows 10 Pro. And for our Windows 11 Pro, we'll be using the latest update being Windows 11 Pro 25H2. I will note as well that Windows 11 Pro results were on AMD driver 26.1.1, whereas the Windows 10 results will be on driver version 26.2.2. Now, I don't think this affects results too much in any case, but it is something to keep in mind. Another important note is where the operating systems are installed. So on Windows 11 Pro, it's installed on my Samsung 860 EVO 500GB SATA SSD, whereas the Windows 10 install is on my Samsung 990 Pro 2TB NVMe SSD. But all of the games that we will be testing will be installed on the same separate SSD, being a Samsung 870 EVO 1TB SATA SSD. So I don't think there's any problems in terms of install locations, but do keep in mind it's not exactly one-to-one for this video. All the specs are on screen as you can see, and they're all staying the same. For our testing methodology, we will be doing a 3-run average as normal. CPU is on PBO, GPU is stock with no overclock or undervolt. All games will be tested at full screen. DLSS is off and upscaling is off. AMD SAM is on and framerate is uncapped. We won't be doing any ray trace testing as well today. Let's head over to the games. Our first game is Counter-Strike 2 on 1080p on low settings with TAA native, no upscaling of course, and higher is better of course for the average FPS and the 1% lows. Now I will be ignoring the Windows 11 LTSC results as they're very similar to Windows 11 Pro, but we'll have them there just for reference. So for Windows 11 Pro, it's quite obvious here we achieve 875 for average FPS and 272 for 1% low. Now this was a gain on Windows 10 of 114 FPS for average FPS and a gain of 48 FPS for 1% lows. That is a huge difference here, and yes, we are gaining quite a bit by switching over to Windows 11 Pro. Next up, we have Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty on 1080p medium with no upscaling. Now with Windows 10 Pro, we achieved an average FPS of 167 and our 1% lows of 95. Now we can see there's a significant uplift in Windows 11 Pro, being 200 for average FPS and 119 for 1% lows. Of course, a significant improvement when we've moved over to Windows 11 here, and I can say for sure, of course, yes, Windows 11 is much better. We've got Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered up now on 1080p with very high settings, TAA, with no upscaling. Now it's a little bit closer on Horizon Zero Dawn, although we do see a pretty big improvement on our average FPS, going from 177 to 198 on Windows 11 Pro, and that is a percentage difference of 12%. Our 1% low's percentage difference was 17%, so quite a nice improvement in favor of Windows 11 Pro here. Next up, we have Riftbreaker on 1080p low with no upscaling. Riftbreaker provided a pretty good improvement here, as we can see for our average FPS going from 206 to 228, which is a difference of 21 FPS in favor of Windows 11 Pro, but our 1% lows are significantly better on Windows 11 Pro here. On Windows 10 Pro we're at 77, and on Windows 11 Pro at 116. I believe this is the highest percentage difference, and it's on the 1% lows for 51%. So yeah, huge difference here and a huge uplift. For our next game, we have Marvel Rivals on 1080p medium TAAU 100% with no upscaling. On our average FPS, we didn't have too much of a difference here, so we only gained 7 FPS going from Windows 10 Pro to 11 Pro, but our 1% lows had a nice increase here, which was an increase of 23 FPS in favor of Windows 11 Pro. Quite nice to see here that we do get a slightly smoother gameplay, which is definitely much appreciated in such a fast-paced game. Last but not least, we have Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 on 1080p Ultra TAA native with no upscaling. I was quite interested with this result, as on Windows 10 Pro we only achieved 113 FPS for our average FPS and 79 for our 1% lows. Now you can see we have a significant increase, going up by 17 FPS on average FPS to 130 of Windows 11 Pro, and by 17 FPS as well on our 1% lows from 79 to 96. So quite cool here that we get a smoother gameplay compared to Windows 10 Pro, and I definitely think that's good in a game like this as well, where you have to, kind of just shoot everything and use your sword. So yeah, quite a cool experience on Warhammer 40k. Let's head over to the overall percentage difference graphs. As we can see, Windows 11 was a lot faster than Windows 10 in terms of these 6 games, being 13% faster on average at 1080p. We can see our biggest percentage difference here is 18% on Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, and our lowest percentage difference was 4% on Marvel Rivals. Now 13% is pretty good for our average FPS, but I think what's even more interesting is our 1% lows in our next graph. On our 1% lows, Windows 11 Pro was 25% faster on average on 1080p for these 6 games. Our biggest outlier here on percentage difference is 40% on Riftbreaker. Our lowest percentage difference here was Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered on 15%, but overall you can see our percentage differences were pretty good, and we made a 25% performance gain by upgrading to Windows 11 here. But we can clearly see here that there's the fact that Windows 11 Pro is a lot better than Windows 10 in terms of gaming performance across these 6 games, and it's great to see that it does provide a performance uplift. Now I will be going over some of the caveats now and my overall thoughts. It's quite obvious that across these 5 games, Windows 11 Pro had significant uplift in performance over Windows 10 Pro. This not only went for our 1% lows, resulting in smoother gameplay, but also our average FPS, which was awesome to see. Notably, in Riftbreaker, the benchmark on the 1% lows had a percentage difference of 51%, which was really surprising for me. I think the biggest caveat here is actually that we are using a Ryzen 7 7800X3D, which is well known for being significantly better on Windows 11 Pro compared to Windows 10 Pro, so do keep that in mind as well. As a result, I think we are seeing results that are absurdly high due to the nature of my setup, but the performance gains are definitely real here. I'd like to retest this with my AM4 system with a Ryzen 5 5600 in it for a budget system in 2025. So, are you leaving gains on the table by not upgrading? Well, yes, across these 5 games, maybe it's about time for me to switch over to Windows 11 on my main system, and if you're like me, make sure to use code BEZ50 for 50% off Windows keys from Keysfan.com. I also just wanted to add this into the video as well. Now, of course, I understand the hate towards Windows 11 and the features, problems that people are experiencing. So, of course, people should take that into account. Some people are even having, stability issues from what I've heard as well. So, I'm not discounting any of that, but purely from a performance standpoint, yeah, it is better to be on Windows 11 for gaming, especially with a Ryzen 7 7800 X3D. That about sums up the video. Make sure to check out ystech.org for some more awesome content. But other than that, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!